I wish I had time to properly thank everyone in what has become a rather large village that has led to me standing here before you today. But if I did, we would certainly be here well into next week. Hopefully you all know who you are and how much you mean to me. I would like to recognize my family. Now, my 4-year-old son is into superheroes right now, so in his honor, I would like to acknowledge just a couple of the many superheroes in my life. The first being my mom, Chris Tobin. You see, at age 32, just a few years before this picture was taken with my sister Lisa and me, she found herself in a spot that she did not expect. Newly divorced and on her own to care for 2 young children with no job and little to no education behind her. All she did from there was to work 2 jobs and go to night school where she would earn 3 degrees, including a master's in nursing. To be able to pay for her education, she took a second job, taking 12-hour shifts in the emergency room on the weekends. She would go on to become the first nurse practitioner in my hometown of Paris, Texas. Through all of this, she managed to miss very few basketball games, tennis matches, or recitals for my sister, all the while providing a loving home in which we were raised. Mom, you are a supermom and will always be my hero. The other superheroes in my life you can see in this picture. There's my daughter Anna, who loves music and dance and just about any Disney princess. She even ranks them. I learned this the hard way while obtaining Cinderella's autograph at Disneyland, and she turned to Cinderella and said, "Cinderella, I want you to know that you are my 4th favorite princess." This was a bit of an uncomfortable moment. You can also see my son Ashton, who literally plays a different superhero every night when I come home. Most importantly, my friend and wife of 16 years, Jennifer Tobin, who herself is an accomplished property tax lawyer here in Dallas at Gary Porter and Donovan. She is a past president of the Junior League of Dallas, as well as president and chair of many philanthropic causes. Anyone who knows us understands that Jennifer has forgotten more about leadership than I will ever know. But like my mother, her greatest superpower is the ability to juggle all of these responsibilities while being a tremendous mother to our 2 beautiful children. And she's pretty darn cute too. My friends, if you believe nothing else I say tonight, please believe me when I tell you how incredibly lucky I feel to be one of your colleagues practicing here with you in Dallas, Texas. In a sense, you have acted as a very large law firm, teaching me so many great lessons during my career. For the sake of brevity, though, I'm only going to focus on 3 lessons that I've learned from many of you. Lesson 1 came from my first teacher, a great lawyer named Dennis Sullivan. He taught me that if you are going to do this gig and do it well, you're going to have to put a lot of time and effort and be committed. This is not a 9-to-5 job and nowhere near it, he would say. He taught that you cannot fake competence in this profession, and I found all of this to be very true. Lesson 2. So if it is given that you're going to have to put a lot of time and effort in, then you might as well go through this journey surrounded by people that you like, trust, and respect. And whatever you do, be sure and have a lot of fun along the way. I think about Dennis and my other teachers, Bill Holston and Bobby Kolonowski, who were great lawyers and who worked very hard. But the thing that made a mark on me as a young lawyer is that they were able to accomplish a lot while having fun practicing law. I'm so thankful for the examples they and you have set. It has led me to my current home, Condon, Tobin, Sladek, Thornton, and Nuremberg, where we have 25 strong lawyers and a highly competent support team that I like, trust, and respect. And most importantly, I'm having a ball practicing with them. My colleagues challenge me every day to contribute to the firm, the profession, and do the very best we can for our business clients. Which brings me to lesson 3. You have taught me that if you consistently engage and put the interests of others ahead of your own, then you will be rewarded. The lawyers at Sullivan and Holston were all great teachers at more than just the practice of law. They always encouraged me to serve the profession. Dennis in particular would preach, if you just want a job, sit at your desk and bill hours. But if you want to be a part of a rewarding profession, then seek out opportunities to lead and do more. Now, at first, this was a daunting charge for this somewhat introverted kid from East Texas who knew virtually nobody in the Dallas legal community. Initially, I had this vision that the Dallas Bar Association was a massive and immovable institution filled with thousands of lawyers jockeying for position to try and get to the top as they fight and claw their way through an adversarial system. I still remember my first introduction to the DBA. One day, very early in my practice, I don't even think I was licensed yet, Dennis and the other lawyers at lunchtime came into my office and said, "You're coming with us to the Bar Association." This was before the mansion expansion and before we had in-ground parking. So we parked out behind the mansion, and upon arriving, I remember being greeted by a distinguished-looking gentleman who was walking into the mansion, and he cried out, "Sully, how you been? Gig 'em!" Now, being a lifelong Longhorn fan, I did not care much for the gig 'em part, but I did appreciate the welcoming atmosphere. I asked Dennis, "Who was that?" And he replied, "That's Mike Baggett. He's president of the bar." I asked, "How do you know him?" He said, "Well, I met him through volunteering at the Bar Association, and our kids later went to college together, and we've become good friends." Then we proceeded to walk into this beautiful mansion, and within the first 10 minutes of being there, my colleagues and teachers were greeted warmly by many people who they obviously knew. They swapped stories and introduced me around. At that moment, it became clear that I was now part of a united profession. Over the years, my early mentors and those that came along later continued to encourage me and to stay involved within bar. This helped me develop relationships and ultimately led to opportunities for my firm and for me. I have met a lot of great people along the way and expanded my network and training in a way that would not have been possible had I not become involved. Let me give you just a few examples of how this has worked for me. In 2005, I was volunteering to help put together a panel of trial lawyers to talk about trial law to a group of solo and small firm lawyers. To show you how green I was naive enough to think I could secure our bar's best trial lawyers' participation on fairly short notice. Luckily for me, both Barry Sorrells and Frank Branson said yes, and the seminar was a huge hit. After the seminar, I went up to Mr. Sorrells and asked, "Mr. Sorrells, I'm trying to be a trial lawyer. What does it take to be a great trial lawyer?" Looking back, I'm sure he was not overly impressed. But to his credit, without hesitation, he said, "It takes a whole lot of courage, Aaron. So why don't you give me a call and we'll talk about it." I did, and that was the start of a 15-year friendship. Over the years, Barry has offered wisdom. We have referred clients to each other and worked on cases together. He has been to my house many times, and we've become great friends. Had I not been involved in the Bar Association and raised my hand, I might not have ever met Barry. He was a criminal defense lawyer, and I was an aspiring civil trial lawyer. Our paths may not have crossed. This is a story that keeps repeating itself. I keep coming down to our home seeking to help, and the end result is always, time and time again, that others end up helping me. Even as I am sitting here as president, you would think I would finally be in a position to do some good. What has happened every day since I have become president? One of our past presidents reaches out to me and says, "What can I do to help you? Whatever you need, I am there for you." You see, my preconceived notion of what this bar was like could not have been more wrong. What years of service has taught me is that this bar association is simply a collection of stories of lawyers helping each other and helping those in our community. I quickly learned that it is not at all about sharp elbows and jockeying for position, but rather it's about propping each other up so that we can all find higher ground. It's stories of ordinary people linked by a common bond to help our friends in the community, our clients, and most importantly, each other. I think of stories like Bob Thomas and a few other brave leaders who paved the way to purchase the mansion so that we have a home to meet in where we can collaborate and educate. The Honorable and late and great Merrill Hartman, who started a pro bono clinic in East Dallas that later became the foundation for our Dallas Volunteer Attorney Program that aims to provide access to justice for all. It's past presidents like Al Ellis leading and saying, everyone has a seat at the Dallas Bar's table, to include all of our sister bar associations. Al is a perfect example because he is now 137 years old, and yet he keeps raising his hand every day. I was just on a conference call with him yesterday. Al, you know I love you. In recent memory, it's friends like Michael Hurst and Sean Brown creating We Lead to foster the career of our bar's most talented and dynamic women lawyers. Lastly, When I think of someone whose story embodies the 3 lessons, I think of my dear friend Karen McLeod, who we lost last year. Karen spent her entire career working hard, having fun, and engaging with the people she liked most, her friends in the DBA. I recall vividly in the last days of her precious life, Karen's last social event was coming to this very celebration this time last year to be with her friends. Leading up to becoming president, one of the questions I would get most often is always, what keeps you up at night? It's a good question, and for me, the answer is maybe not what you would think. It's not the pandemic. This bar association has only grown during the pandemic. With our online platform started under the leadership of President Tobin, we are the largest provider of free CLE in the state and one of the largest in the country. And it's all free. I'm not sure at what point in this year we will be back in the building. We will open when it is safe to do so, and when we do, you can be assured that we will be stronger than ever because we will not only facilitate opportunities for those that want to gather and collaborate in our home, the mansion and pavilion, but we will also continue broadcasting virtually to those who cannot be there present in person. So what keeps me up at night, other than a 4-year-old superhero who is sometimes bedtime challenged, is the question, will we miss somebody's story? Will a lawyer miss the opportunity to engage in 2021 so that this bar association can do for them what is done for me and so many others? Let's not let this happen. I would encourage all of us to channel our inner Sully and reach out and encourage other lawyers, especially young lawyers, to not sit on the sidelines and to engage in 2021. Because I do not want to miss a chance for someone to continue writing their story this year. I would like to close with a quote. We just celebrated one of our bar's most important events, the MLK Justice Luncheon. So I think it is fitting to finish with a quote from Dr. King. He once said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So tonight, let's have a lot of fun, raise some money for DVAP, enjoy the music, and come Monday, let us strive to remember 3 lessons. Work hard. Be present and enjoy what you are doing and who you're doing it with. And most importantly, engage and let's do what lawyers in this bar do best. Act with persistence and a sense of urgency to help others and help each other. Enjoy the rest of the program in the evening and the concert, and I look forward to seeing you very soon, my friends.